Oh, the logo's in the way. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is UK Cowboys TV. It's season 2, episode 81, and it's the pre-game show for Washington. And that game is on Sunday, 5 p.m. here in the UK, which is nice after the 1 a.m. start we had on on Monday. Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it, Paul?
I can finally get an early night.
I tell you what, I slept hard on Tuesday. That was a nice sleep. Sorry, Wednesday.
Still not recovered.
Yeah, I know. I'm still the same. It takes a week to really recover from it all, doesn't it? But as you can see, we have the Burger and King of UK Cowboys TV, Mr. Paul Stewart and Graham Wilson. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. I'll let you guys decide which one is which. And of course, we have as advertised, the influential and the immensely knowledgeable Taylor Stern. Welcome to the show, Taylor.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Leaving the Cowboys was hard, but it's great knowing that I'll still have you guys and it stays forever, regardless of job title.
You will always be welcome over here. You know that. And even when the Cowboys come to London, if you can't make the trip, we'll bring an empty suitcase. We'll kidnap you and bring you back over.
That would be awesome. I appreciate that.
I'm sure that would. I'm sure that would work. Yeah, I'm sure that's fine. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's get into because I know we've only got you on the line for half the show, so we'll try and get through as much as we can with you, and then finish the rest of our show off. So we'll get first of all into some injury news and updates that have happened this week. So first of all, we'll go through the injuries. Brandon Knight being I think the biggest one because of how light we are on the offensive line. He's out with knee surgery. Zach Martin's on concussion protocol. We've got Aldon Smith, who went with a neck injury. I don't know if you know much about what's going on with that one, to come back round to that one. But Cam Irvin, who's supposed to be replacing Brandon Knight, he's now not practiced because of illness. So we don't know what's going on there. I tried to find out. I know, so the O-line, man, it's just horrific. Then to tie in with that, some good news, because we like to give some good news with all the rubbish that's going on. Sean Lee's been back at practice, and Jordan Lewis. So any of you guys, who do you think is the most troublesome of that injury report?
Yeah, I mean, any guys on defense, like you said, Aldon Smith. But then the O-line, I mean, I just don't know what they're going to do. I know that they'll get creative and make it work, but I think we're getting really close to the trade deadline, right? Where that's going to happen. I'll be curious to see if they do anything, because they're going to have to support Andy throughout the year. I mean, he needs to have opportunities, and it felt like the other day he just did not feel comfortable. And so I'd be curious to see if they're going to do something with the trade deadline. And then Aldon Smith, I mean, you need your defensive guys up front to really help, because especially being low on the back end with your secondary. So, but guys, I mean, I wonder, do you think that because of the way that this season is and the way that they rushed everything and there was no preseason, how do you feel about how that's affecting the injuries?
Massively. Yeah. Sorry, Greg. For me, it's what were those players doing in that off season as well? Like, because the whole COVID and that restrictions not getting to the facilities and all that type of stuff, where they were just like not doing what they were supposed to be doing, and then going into camp. And we saw there's been a few examples where that wasn't the case. Like we saw like Jerry McCoy, he looked in fantastic shape going into camp, but it turns out it doesn't really matter. Like it seems to be like it's been so injury prone, not just for us, but across the whole league this year.
Yeah. Coach Jeff Reinwald, who does a lot of segments for Sky Sports here in the UK, he makes a great point that footballers have to be football ready, and to take away preseason, nobody's hitting in the gym, nobody's hitting hitting properly at practice. So as soon as you go full speed into week one, you only see a huge rise in ACL injuries this year. I think the ACLs have been crazy this year, and that simply comes from being football ready. That's why we see starters play the first quarter, the first half in pre-season because they don't want their guys done, but they need to get them football ready. You see it from guys that hold out during the off-season. They're maybe not happy with their contracts. They sign their contract, they come into week one, and before you know it, they're on IR for the rest of the season because they are simply not football ready. And it has decimated our offensive line. It has. I don't think it's been a big injury factor for Dak. I think that was just unfortunate. But our offensive line was not ready, shall we say, for football. I don't think.
Well, it was a concern going into before going into camp anyway, as well. Like we were always thinking about how many games we're going to get out of Tyron Smith this year. As well.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, that's such a good point. Is that and there has to be such a cloud of stress over these guys as well, because we see illness on there, and the first thing I think of is that Corona, and I really hope it's not. I don't know much anything else than just seeing illness, but guys are probably very stressed because they're going out and they have families at home and they're doing the best they can to stay as safe as they can. And so just think about how the stress has impacted all of us in our own day-to-day lives. And then these guys are they're traveling, they're doing a lot. And I think it's just probably something that's always on their mind.
Yeah, and they're face-to-face as well. I read a good article, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and it was looking really into more in America, like the rise and fall of Rona. And it was really saying about how should the NFL have delayed their season. And when you look at it as the currently, the state that it's in at the moment, with teams all over the place playing and not playing. And I mean, it's good for the viewing because you get Monday night football over here at 10 o'clock in the evening, which was quite nice, and you get some really random kickoff times. But like you say, beyond that, then you're talking of more, the safety of the players and their families, which is just as important.
Yeah.
But as you were saying at the start, you've left from reporting for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, obviously we're not going to get into the personal side of all of that, but go on. Sorry.
I was going to say it's all good. I left, and it was just a decision that I felt like I had to do, and I know it was kind of unusual timing, but I think we all come to points in our lives where you just kind of look at the situation and you just kind of realize, okay, I could either go one or two ways. And I felt like I've been so fortunate to do so much during my time there. And entering my sixth season, I was like, okay, what else do I want to accomplish here? And there really wasn't much that I could, and not anything that, I wasn't offered or given, but I just felt like it was the time for me. And so, but I do have some new exciting things coming out soon. So just stay tuned. I'm going to tease that a little bit.
Oh,
yeah. All right. Yeah. That was what I was going to ask you, because I was going to say anything you put your mind or your hands to turns to gold. But if you're keeping it on the DL, we'll keep it there for now.
Yes. Well, you guys will be first to know. I'll give you a heads up.
We'll have the exclusive. All right, I like that. But let's get into the offense then, straight away, and we'll talk about that with you while we got you on the line, as we say, for the first. Well, we've got another 20 minutes with you. In terms of offense for training, obviously, Cowboys playing on Monday Night Football, then on a Sunday. How does the short week in terms of training and preparation, because at the moment preparation seems to be the issue with the Cowboys, but in terms of the short week, how does that affect them going into the game on Sunday?
I think they're so used to it by now. Now, I'm sure it's still a little bit challenging. Those guys are such pros, and they know, okay, if we have a Monday night game, some of them watch film for the next team starting on, Sunday of that week to just kind of not look ahead, but just kind of have an advanced situation. And I think, Tuesday they really get in there and they do their work watching the day before and just get it going. So I'm sure that they've all been used to this grind. It's a little bit more challenging when you have the injuries and you have to start figuring out, like, okay, who is in and out. But I think they're very, very much well conditioned to it. we see how it is more in November when they have like the back-to-back Thursday night games. And a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. So last week was our first week, or I say last week, it was this week really. Was our first week with Andy Dalton. Taking the keys to the offense. What we saw, we saw really a guy getting flushed out the pocket, as we were talking about with the O-line. Sacks getting flushed, but mainly a lot of timing. Seemed to be his timing was off. Is there anything that you think is at this stage concerning you, or do you think this is something that give him some time, he'll break through and break out?
I think the more he gets used to it with those guys, the better it'll be. I didn't get to see Andy Dalton too much because again we didn't have any off season or preseason. Yeah. But I think that he's a good backup quarterback. I mean, in the years past when they would have just had Cooper Rush or years ago
Matt Castle.
Oh
God, don't go there.
Andy Dalton is a good option, but I think that again. He didn't have many practices with them last week before the game. And then now I think he'll be able to put himself on tape and see it and what he likes. So I think he'll actually get better.
Yeah. So one of the things that's been cropping up this week in the news was Zeke coming out talking about his fumbling issues. Last week we saw him with 2, pretty much early. We saw a bit of Tony Pollard sprinkled in. We have yet, though, to see Tony Pollard reach a 100-yard game. I'll go around the horn on all of this with all of you and get your thoughts on this. Do you think this is something that we're going to see that, because each season he's getting less and less, is there a concern with Zeke? I'll start with you, Taylor, and then work my way around. But is there a concern with Zeke at the moment with his fumbles and not getting any 100-yard games?
Prior to leaving, I think my last Cowboys Hour interview was with Ezekiel Elliott, and Brad brought that up with him. And I remember there was a couple of years ago that Gary Brown, the former running backs coach, he had these special balls that they would practice with where they would, if you put the pressure on one side, it would put like a beep noise. So you always wanted it to be beeping during practice because you were putting enough, the accurate pressure that you needed to help reduce fumbles. And Zeke is not normally a fumble machine. I would never consider him that. I think he prides himself on that. And so I'm sure that he just felt gutted. And you saw that in his comments after on Sunday. I hope he'll be able to turn this around. And maybe turning it around is, hey, Tony Pollard's going to get more play, or something like that. Because these guys are competitive. This is their job. We see it and we think, okay, well, hey, just hold on to the ball. It's not as easy as it looks when you have 300-pound men coming after you. But he's a prideful guy. I bet that will go down as one of his worst games he considers.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Go on, Paul. Hit me. You hit me with it, with your concerns with Zeke.
I'll be honest, I'm going to be very speechless tonight because I'm honestly just still in that weird, like, did that just actually happen on Sunday? Like,
it was that.
I felt like I was watching an amateur team play, and that's being nice about it. So
okay, Zeke.
Sorry, but in terms of Zeke, I think the whole aspect, I think this could be more of a psychological thing as well, especially in that game. It's his first game with Andy Dalton, first full game. Like, there's no Dak at all. Like, I think he's only played like maybe 3 or 4 snaps with Tony Romo in that preseason where he got injured. Then the rest has always been Dak. Then since then, it's now Andy Dalton. So for him to kind of get used to that whole new quarterback, I think it was just him, just like psychologically, just wasn't there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I think Zeke did in that game was after the game where he came out and owned it and said, as Brian says, he came out and said, this is on me. But I think I read somewhere, I can't remember where, but the Cowboys at the moment, after turnovers, have given up 87 points after a turnover.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's not good.
I mean, do you think he can break out of this funk psychologically, Gray?
I mean, you originally started talking about Tony Pollard, and I think the reason we saw maybe a couple of series after the second fumble from Pollard was I think they were sending a message to Zeke Elliott in that you have to protect the ball more. You know, you're one of our franchise guys, and if you can't protect the ball, we're going to have to find somebody who does. I think that's why you saw a series of Tony Pollard. For me, I think we made the point earlier on the podcast during the early stages of the season that we weren't too concerned about the fumbles. I think it escapes me who he fumbled against, but we kind of brushed it off, and now we've seen lightning strike twice, and it's caused him to come out and kind of own up to his mistakes. I think now that we've seen lightning strike twice, it's almost like a wake up call to Zeke. I think in terms of Pollard and Zeke, you've seen less of them because we've been behind in games. We've been a couple of scores behind, and the balance in the offense kind of disappears towards the passing game, and then you see carries taken away. So that's why we're seeing a little bit of reduction in Tony Pollard, and the emphasis is going to be on Zeke because in a kind of losing season so far, we need our big players to step up, and that's why there's so much pressure. Because if you imagine the Cowboys being 5-1 right now, I don't think there's anywhere near the focus on Zeke Elliott. It's because they have a losing record. People are starting to point fingers, and unfortunately, Zeke is one of them.
Oh yeah, winning always hides a lot of issues that you've got deficiencies. But one of the things I think with the O-line and with seeing Andy Dalton play, that the play that concerns me the most, that I think is going to become a non-factor, I don't know if you agree with this, Taylor, will be Michael Gallup, purely on the basis that he's a downfield player and Dalton is not going to get the time in the O-line, with the O-line that he's got.
Yeah,
go on. Sorry. Go on.
I've been excited to see how Michael Gallup has developed this year, but and it's also interesting. We're talking about Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, but now you have Michael Gallup, you have Amari Cooper, and you have CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb is doing great for a rookie. I mean, I'm really impressed by his play, and I don't want to say that I'm surprised, but just sometimes rookie wide receivers, you see it takes them some time. I mean, do you guys remember the name Laquan Treadwell?
Yeah. Well, that was bad.
Yeah, they took them right around the same pick that the Cowboys took CD. And everyone thought, he was going to do so well. I don't think he scored a touchdown his entire rookie season.
No. I don't even think he has a team now. I think he's a free agent.
I think you're exactly right. So, to see how CD's developing, I think it's helping actually Michael Gallup and them, because the play for the receivers is just so raised.
Yeah. But it does scare me. But I mean, we'll talk more towards the O-line because this is the biggest thing. But we saw Connor McGovern come in the game. I think he did all right. I don't know what your guys feeling. I'll get all of your feelings on this one. What do you think? How do you think he did? I thought he did all right.
He held his own. That's for sure. With Lex McGovern, obviously there was a couple of plays, especially in some of the run plays, he was a little bit nervous. He wasn't getting his assignments up properly or something like that. Like he was missing a few blocks, which should have been maybe more of a double team block. But other than that, I thought he was actually solid. Other than that, but I'm more concerned about the tackle situation, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Are we all on that one? Because I've got a question for you. There is a player who's been released, ex-Bills player, Quinton Spain. No sacks while he played for the Bills. He's been released. Do you think perhaps that's a guy you would want to pick up on? There we go. What do you think, Tay?
I mean, that's where I'm curious. I do think that, I trust Will McClay and the scouts, that they're always looking for these guys. And, I know everybody on Twitter, I remember it used to be in the mentions, like the moment a guy got released and they had a need for that, they'd be like, go get this guy. But Will McClay and those coaches, they really do their research. And so if you're saying that this guy didn't allow any sacks, I mean, that's excellent. But it's always curious to see. I think a lot of times people think that guys on the O-line are very plug and play. And we saw that, when the line was really good in 2014, probably 2017, I'd say was its strongest years. Of course, that's how much that. And Dave doesn't know. Dave's not a scout. And,
I won't tell him you said that.
He knows. He would admit it himself. But yes, a lot of times see how they plug and play. And I just feel like, with such a mosh of these different guys, there has to be a chemistry.
The cohesion is the biggest thing, because those 5 guys are always the same 5 guys on the field, no matter what, every play until there's an injury. So it's always those guys. I mean, we're Quentin Spain. Go on.
Just to tack on to what Taylor was saying, I completely agree. If Quentin Spain is such a great relief and a huge upgrade at guard, why have the Bills just cut him? The Bills have moved on from Spain. There must be a reason for it, unless there's something we're not hearing.
It could be contract based. It could be
no, it was more his movement skills. He does lack some movement skills. Yeah.
So
that's the biggest issue.
There is a reason why they've moved on from Quentin Spain. I think it's just the kind of the panic mode has set in across Cowboys Nation. If you look at the mentions underneath the original comment, I think it was Adam Schefter that posted the news originally. So many teams desperate for guards. I saw Patriots comments. I saw Cowboys. I even saw a couple of Eagles. Teams across the league that just there's panic at a couple of teams, and you just wonder, does need outweigh how good Quentin Spain is?
Yeah,
sometimes it does. That's when those guys really get lucky and they sign him. So I say Quentin Spain, take advantage of it right now.
Definitely.
He's never going to be more valuable than he is right now.
Yeah, and I've always said it. I've said it on this show that in the NFL and in college, you ask any coach what they always want more of, and they'll always say offensive line. Every time. Yeah. But then because we've got you for another 5 minutes here, I thought I'd get you to answer this question. Firstly, is the Washington D-line scary against our O-line?
I'm sure it is. Generally speaking, I don't even know what to call them anymore. It's just the football team, right? And
it's the football team, yeah.
It's always scary, again, when you're playing an NFC East opponent, and I think sometimes they overhype them. Yeah. But I wonder how this crew of guys, how they're feeling, because they don't even know who's playing in what position. You miss a guy like Travis Frederick right now to kind of be that surgeon, the glue to say, hey, look, okay, yeah. Because I'd have to go and look at the Washington roster right now. Is, who's in there for them on the D-line?
For Washington, Chase Young, Deron playing, Jonathan Allen, and Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat's been playing quite well.
Yeah. So, you wish that you had a guy who at least had some experience against some of these ones for Washington. So I guess we'll just have to see. But I really hope that it isn't, but you never know.
I mean, the crazy bit is their biggest pick, which was Chase Young. It's just like as if he is steamrolling a little bit. He's starting to gather pace, but he's just not exploded out as quickly as you'd expect for the first pick.
Mike, don't forget about Sweat as well. He was a first-round draft pick as well.
Yeah. But he's come on quite nice. He's doing all right this year. But the last thing I wanted to ask you, because we've all been trying to figure it out over the last few weeks, is really the energy, the effort, and the slow start the Cowboys keep having in this first quarter. Like, we have yet to score the first touchdown and be set, 7 points to 0 this season. We can't figure it out. We don't understand it. We think it's a preparation issue, but what do you think it could be?
Yeah, wasn't there a couple of years ago, I remember there was a trend that was happening with the team there where it was like the third and fourth
quarter.
Third quarter. I think that sometimes they just have to get all on the same page. And when we were asking Zeke about that in that interview, he said that, they'll get to this point and they're like, why don't we play like this the whole game? And so I think there's just this point of remembering that and knowing what they can do. Now, I think it helps sometimes when you get a big spark, if you would have like a punt return for a touch, those types of things will usually help spark the momentum and everyone quickly remembers, oh yeah, this is what we can accomplish. So I think they just sometimes come out more conservative than they really should.
Yeah. Like every time it seems to be the first quarter, and it happened in this one. Like normally we've got Dak there who seems to be helping to dig us out of the ground and I get out of that funk. Obviously, Andy Dalton, like I always like the old statement the guys from around the league says they used to call it the Dalton scale because he's right bang in the middle. And if his team plays better, he goes up with them. If they play bad, he goes down with them. And it seems to be that with the way that this team is failing to prepare, that he's not the guy that can help to bring it back up to elevate it.
He's somebody like a Jalen Smith or some of your other leaders on the team to really step in and take that. I mean, Witten used to be that guy for them, and so I think maybe DeMarcus might take on that new role.
Yeah, but it just seems to be it's just a strange one. I don't know whether it's the players or the coaching. I don't know what you can boil it down to, or maybe just a bad mix of both.
Yeah, you never like seeing it, like the comments that Jane was reporting earlier this week about, the guy.
Yeah.
That's always a recipe for disaster, and McCarthy knows that coming from Green Bay. So that's no bueno. And I feel like they were kind of putting a lot of blame on the coaches. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what it is like with these coaches. You have virtual interviews, but no one really knows them as well as we used to know the old coaching staff to know how they really jived and seeing each other practice. And so, you're probably right. I would say a fair share should be on the coaches.
Yeah, it's just such a strange. We keep talking about it for all season. I know we're only like week 7 all season, but it just seems to be the same thing we're talking about every week. The slow start, is it a preparation issue? Is it the players not buying into schematically what the coaches are asking them to do? Everything you look at is just puzzling. You don't seem to understand it. And the big thing, I think, more than anything, just seems to be the giveaways, the fumbles and the interceptions. Well, not so much interceptions.
I don't know if it's just the OB, Mike. Every time I watch every game now, it's like they've not even woke up yet. It's like they just fell out of bed.
It's a strange one. It's so weird. I can't put my finger on it. I was hoping maybe Tay could put it in there, but I think you're the same. You're just the same as us. You're like, don't know.
And they would probably say the same thing. A lot of times when they get asked about that, I don't think that any of them go out there and they say, let's, be slow. I know they don't want that, but I think they probably don't understand it as well. I think it's a general just getting used to who's in there, what's happening, knowing the rhythm, knowing the cadence that everyone's playing at. I really do think that makes a difference to have a fast start.
Yeah, I think this team needs to. I think in order to be able to win, I think with Andy Dalton there, they need to have that quick start and then slow the game down. That's going to have to be the way. Yeah. But I'm looking at that the clock. It's up to your half an hour mark, so we're going to let you do your thing, do your family thing. But thank you for joining us to talk about the offense. Yeah. And when you got,
we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, whenever you're free, we'll message you when we'll get it organized and sorted and see you smiling back at us again.
Yes, I'd love to. All right. Well, thank you guys. Talk soon.
Yeah. All right. Good luck, Dave. We'll speak to you again.
Taylor.
And there we have it. Yeah. On to the defense then, guys. Are you ready for this? This is going to be fun. Watch the comments. Watch the comments fly in. And then, of course, watch the viewers all disappear.
Hey, guys, get your popcorn ready.
Who wants to argue first then on the defense? Let's start for the jugular. Let's go right in for it. Points allowed. We are 32nd. Go.
Shit.
Lucky for you.
Good night,
Lucky for you. It's
folks.
it's 9:30 in the evening, so we've got away with that.
Fucking
Yeah,
shit.
I made the point on the post game show that
Yeah.
our team in general is so off sync just now. I mean, we got to the end of the first quarter, 0-0, and you're thinking, hold on a minute, our team just shut out another team for an entire quarter. Did we score any points? No.
No.
So even when the D do give them the platform, our offensive line is decimated. We have a new QB in who we asked to throw 54 times. It's all over the place. It really is all over the place. And just when you rely on your cornerstones that I talk about all the time, your cornerstones drop potential touchdown passes and dropped the ball twice.
That was bad. Yeah,
it's horrible. It's horrible. And you know, if we had taken a 14-point lead, which we could easily have done, if we'd taken a 14-point lead into the second quarter, it takes so much pressure off that defense.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, Kyler Murray feels like he has to throw. He has more pressure on his shoulders, and we're in front, which means we give Zeke the ball more, which means the defense stays on the sideline an awful lot more. It all links together, and if one part isn't synced, the whole thing falls flat on its face.
See, for me, right, the thing that really annoyed me the most is like people knew what was going to happen, but they were just they were just standing still watching it. And what's his name, Worley? How the hell is he? Like, he shouldn't be playing in a bloody jersey again. And with Paul, bloody Brian raised it. Got my reaction when he put that comment up, for sure. Honestly, after that last week's performance in that game there, I don't want to see Paul ever again. Give Gallimore the heads up. Give him, because at least he's got some drive and determination to make a name for himself. Paul is standing there like a bloody fridge.
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing Poe getting shifted, and I said it last week. You're seeing some rather odd footwork where he's caught off balance. Didn't really see it. Didn't really see it last week, but
laziness.
Yeah, and it last week or this week, if you like, was laziness, just lack of effort. But the week before, some very odd, and you're seeing a guy of that weight getting shifted 3 men down the line, and that should not be happening. Do you know what I mean? Of a guy that size. I mean, we were talking about the issues and the coaches, with coaches and players on the defense. I think on the defensive side, though, I'm definitely on the line of it's the coaches. When we've looked back at some historical statistics, Mike Nolan is literally breaking his own records at the moment. Do you think he's in the hot seat?
Yes, absolutely.
It's hotter than hot.
Yeah,
it's hotter than hot.
He's got hot butts. He's got hot butts.
This is historically bad. I mean, it's.
If you want to take something very literal, Mike Nolan is a hot boy indeed.
I'm just going to bring up that one particular play that stuck in my mind, and I can't get. We talked about it on Tuesday night, and I'm going to bring it up again. The long bomb to Christian Kirk. There are four Cowboys defenders in a straight line. You could draw a very nice circle around it, and I don't know who the corner. I think I talked about. I think it was Anthony Brown. He stays in. I think it's zone coverage. He stays in zone. There's nobody in front of him. Christian Kirk tears past him. Worley doesn't know what day of the week it is, and before you know it, Kirk's off to the races.
Yeah, that I think was a bad mix of two things. I think that was a bad play call by the coaches looking at it, because they were in cover 4.
Yeah,
I'm not even entirely sure why, but they were using 2 down on the flats. But it looked like the two of the defensive backs were completely out of sync. They weren't in sync with it. One of them being Worley, and it just fell apart on that play. Ridiculous.
Just lack of general communication throughout the whole defense, and we're seeing like there was moments where people were communicating and we were making those tackles for maybe 1 yard gain or a yard loss. But when people don't actually communicate, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, agree. So let's talk centre field, guys. How much of a concern with, although Jordan Lewis is back in practice, there's still not much news about Chidobe. We're still waiting on that. Centre field, really, I think seems to be an issue now. So the question would be, if you could right now, where would you go? Safety or O-line in the draft?
Oh, God.
It's still O-line.
O-line.
Still O-line?
Still O-line.
I think for next year, with the type of like offensive linemen are going to be eligible next year through college, you're going to have to. But we're definitely going to get like a safety in the second round or something like that, or a corner in the second round. But I definitely think it has to be O-line. We need to reestablish the balance in our offensive line again.
Yeah,
we need that depth. We need depth. That's one thing we've struggled for years. When one player goes out, doesn't matter. Like when Smith goes out, who is the person who's going to replace him? It's still not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree with 100%. I think with O-line, if you can run the ball on offense, it covers up so many flaws on a defensive side of the ball because you maintain the ball, you control the clock, you've got a lead. If you go for safety, you maybe not get the kind of reaction you need on offense to be able to stay balanced and so on. So with O-line, you've only got the 5 guys. Whereas if you take a safety, you've still got questionable cornerbacks to worry about. You know, you've still got a run game that can happen so much until you get to the safety position at a certain point in the defense. So by taking offensive line, we go back to core values of running the football, killing clock. You know, when we had the kind of Murray-Romo type combination and we used to just run teams to death, if we can get back to that, it will cover up so many flaws on defense.
That's a good point, Andy. That's a good point.
D-line too.
We could.
And you could say corner because of what do you do with all the injuries that are happening at the moment, you know?
You know what? You might as well just say the whole defense because we're lacking in depth for linebacker for sure. Sean Lee, whenever he gets injured, it seems to be we've got Joe Thomas, Van Der Esch, whenever he's fit, and Jalen.
Yeah,
that's it. That's pretty much the whole linebacker core. But you've got Francis Bernard who's now been brought into the squad. But saying that, it's still not a lot of linebackers. We've got a lot of depth in the D line, but they're not doing the job.
Yeah, and the only issue with me in terms of linebacker on defense is they're luxury picks for me. Linebacker is the last thing really you start to build on.
Yeah,
D line.
You can cover up with one linebacker. You can.
Yeah, if you've got a decent enough D line, like look at Washington, it's a similar thing. Yeah. Their linebackers are not very good. But let's talk about the Washington offense. Now, the good news is they're 32nd in points scored. So it's literally, it's a movable object against a very...
Honestly, I just don't know how to respond to this whole pregame. I'm being perfectly honest with you after that game there. And yeah, what you just said there, they're 32nd and that. It's like, and I try and be as positive as much as I can, but I'm struggling.
Be positive.
I'm trying my effing best here. I'm trying my best not to swear. I already screwed that up already, but in fact, it's after that, it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Well, look, right. The I mean, people are saying all sorts here, but the good news is they really only have 2 offensive weapons. They don't have a quarterback, really. I mean, it's Kyle Allen. I think we're quite happy with that. They don't have an O-line at all. Like we're talking about our O-line. I can guarantee you the Washington Football Team podcast will be talking about their O-line and saying how much of a struggle they're having right now with theirs. But the issue they've got is we have 2 decent running backs, 3 decent wide receivers. These guys, all they have is scary Terry McLaurin. I mean, you could talk about Antonio Gibson, the running back that they've taken this year in the draft. He's doing all right. He's doing fine. Not a huge right home. And the other good thing is their tight ends, Logan Thomas. I thought, I'll have a look, see what Logan Thomas is like. I brought up his stat line and I had a bit of a chuckle.
Wee question, Mike. See, regards to that O-line, who is fit? Is Brandon Scherf playing?
We'll get back to you on the names of the players on the road line, but I know I've looked through their statistics and it's terrible. It's bad. It's just as bad as ours. But in terms of Terry McLaurin, do you think our defensive backs are going to be up to the task for this guy? Bearing in mind they're their only guy.
If it's Stefan Diggs that's on him, then yeah.
Stefan Diggs doing fine, yeah.
If Diggs is I would just put Diggs on him through the whole game. I know it sounds pretty daft. You can't do that because you need to adapt in case they switch up plays and whatever not. But just to prevent him getting any yards on us or whatever, I just can't process this, man. Honestly.
Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong, eh?
It's just one of them weeks, man. I'm grouchy.
Am I gonna have to drive all the way up to Scotland to come and give you a hug?
Well, here's the thing, though. I stayed up to 4 a.m. I go on national television on Channel 5, and while on the 2-minute warning, I admonished to tell me not to look at the screen, and I got dunked on by Kenyon Drake on my face according to TV, apparently. So
yeah, it was funny, but I posted that up all over our page and shit. It was quite funny. But yeah, they do have Brandon Scherf. He is their best offensive lineman. And then the rest, you just go. Okay, I never even heard of that name. Right. So it is a bad O-line. So what I'm saying is really we can use our strengths. As you say, you said Diggs, Andy saying Diggs as well. Put Diggs on Scary Terry. I say have an extra man over the top, an extra safety, and then just let the rest of the guys try and beat you. That's the way I would do it. Because why not?
We're missing a massive elephant in the room.
Go on then.
I'm going to take our listeners again. You know how I like to take us back in time. I'm going to take us back in time to week 1. Who is the Rams starting running back? And Malcolm Brown rumbled for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, good point.
Cam Akers rumbled for 39 yards and 14 carries. And I know we're not in the fantasy section yet, but if you have Gibson on your lineup, get him started. Start Gibson, because my prediction is he's going to have a huge day. I'm thinking over 100 yards and at least a touchdown.
Well,
our defense revives running games. And
I mean, like the thing to think about is we mentioned it when it was the Cleveland game, and we said, they took a guy who's a fisherman and he managed to have a good day on it. So.
Yep, another example.
Yeah, let's not talk about that, will we, please?
No.
These examples are not going away. They're not going away. We keep seeing them.
Right. Everybody at home as well, listening and watching, send us in your score predictions. I'm going to get Paul's and Graham's, and then we'll move on to the fantasy chat. Something that just puts everybody on a high, makes everybody a bit happy towards the end. So I will give you my score prediction. I'll let you go first while you guys all have a think. I'm going Dallas Cowboys will win this game. I'm going for a win. It's going to be 27-17.
27? Jeez. All right. Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to say a win as well, but I'm going to go with a really, really low score line.
Okie dokie.
10-6. Cowboys.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Exactly.
Oh man, I'm gonna try. Do you know what? I'm gonna purposely tomorrow spend my day cheering you up, Paul, because it sounds like you just need a bit of cheering up. So look out tomorrow. Right, okay. So go on then, Greg. Give me your score prediction. What are you going for?
I'm sorry, boys. We can be positive all we like, but I'm going to go 21-10 Washington. I'm sorry.
What?
No, I'm sorry. I think their defensive line is gonna tear our O line to bits.
It's a fast D line. It's a fast.
I think they're going to establish the run. I think it will take all the pressure off whoever starts at QB. Their passing game will become irrelevant because they'll be able to run the ball, and our offense will get so out of sync that Dalton will panic. You can let's face it. We can predict at least one interception for Andy Dalton. Let's face it.
And I was going to be really nice to you and send you a beer in the post. I've gone and got you. You're not having it now. You're not having it.
Hey.
We can beat around the bush all we like.
I've got yours.
I'm sorry. Call me out on the Facebook group if you like, but I don't see where the win is coming from. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Everyone's entitled to opinion. It's just that your one is wrong. So,
even though I'm trying to be as positive as I can, but I still appreciate it because that is probably the more realistic outcome. If I'm being perfectly honest, I still the way how things are going. It needs to be a big, massive turnaround.
Yeah.
It's like it would need to be a completely different team what we saw from last week to actually get this win next week. Yeah. So, and I don't see, and after what's been happening during the week, what the press have been saying, or I don't know if it's fake news or whatever.
No, apparently it's real. They were arguing. That's real.
Well, if that's the case, then it's not looking like it's a good sign. But I'll still say we'll win just because it's my team. I just always want to see the Cowboys win. But realistically, I'm nervous. I'm nervous because the fact it's this D-line more than anything.
It's just it's quick. It's a fast and quick D-line. That's the trouble. When you've got an O-line that is just, it's decimated. I mean, we were saying about how wafer thin it is. I mean, look at it now. And if Zach Martin doesn't pass his concussion protocol tests,
our offensive line,
Cam Irvin, imagine he's still ill come Sunday. If it's the Rona, we're screwed. There's nobody to play at left tackle. You're going to have to kick Connor McGovern out on the blind side.
Sign me up. I'll step in. Bugger it.
We have conceded.
Get my US visa sorted.
The Cowboys have conceded at least 34 points since week 2, and we scored 10 points on Monday night, and that was the first time the wheels came off the cart for the offense. We have so many issues on the offensive line. I don't think Dalton is going to get 2 seconds to get rid of the ball, let alone 3.
Yeah.
If anybody disagrees with me, I would love to see it in the comments. Wind the broadcast back. Tell me if I said something wrong in my analysis of the game. I think a loss is coming for us on Sunday. I think everything I said prior to the result was 100% true. I just can't beat around the bush anymore.
Because you're analysing based on what's just happening. You're just like being realistic, really.
Yeah, I mean, we could go through the whole season and predict 20-point wins and 15-point wins. But at the end of the day, it's not going to happen. And I don't see why we should sugarcoat anything. I think we've been sugarcoating things for far too long. Our defense is a huge issue, and that.
If I do say something, I think this is going to be a big, huge testament, like just general for our offense. Like not so much our wide receivers, it's just the front five and our running backs and our quarterback. It's just those three positions. Well, three groups essentially. I'm not worried about the wide receivers or tight ends.
No,
I'm just more worried the fact that against this defense. It's like you said, they're very fast, very just really quick off the ball, and they know how to make a tackle.
Do we know who our tackles are on Sunday?
Cam Irvin and but Cam Irvin's still questionable. And it all depends what happens with Zach Martin. So at the moment, where the offensive line, where it sits, is just a complete massive question mark. We just don't know how it's going to look. I think what we need to see is on Saturday for us in the UK, when the Friday practice report comes out, then we'll know.
Mate, you know what would make me really happy right now? If we saw Travis Frederick just come out of retirement just for this one game. Honestly. Jokes aside, though. It's going to be a tough game. I don't see this being a high score. That's why I'm saying 10-6.
That's fine.
That's my if we are going to win, that's my realistic approach. But I don't see it being like I'm 35%, like saying it's going to be 10-6, but the other side of me is going to say, nah, it's either going to be that or it's going to be Washington above that. So, but I can see it just being one of these games. It's just going to be, we're going to focus quite a lot on the run with Pollard and Zeke switching it in and out. So hopefully this could be the game. Hopefully, but I am not banking on it. I just don't know. It's just so much uncertainty. That's the problem with that team. It's just so much like the injuries, the things behind the scenes right now. It's just like we were in a point where before the season started, we were voted the more like the number one, like not number one contenders. What we're talking about, it's no boxing.
They were touted as a deep playoff team.
Yeah, we're touted to go into the playoffs and be in the Super Bowl.
Deep.
Yeah, because we drafted CD Lamb, we made a great acquisitions in the draft. Well, that's another thing. Why is Bradley Anae not giving any starts? We need speed in that D-line. I'm sorry, I've completely forgot all about
that. That is a question, because another one as well is Reggie Robinson. Reggie Robinson's still not seeing any action. It makes you wonder just though how ready they are. Obviously, you just have to trust their process, don't you? Unfortunately, but you never know. We'll see. We'll see what goes on here. Should we get into the fantasy, guys?
Yeah, let's do it.
Get into some get into the fantasy lounge. Get happy. Now, guys, make sure you join in at home as well. The way we do it, very, very simply. I will give you the score as predicted by NFL.com's fantasy app, their predictive scores, whatever. Round them off, and then you give me your two options. So, oh boy is less, boy oh boy is more. All right. Oh, easy way to think of it. Boy oh boy has more words in it, so it's more. Right. Okay. Who wants to go first? Right, Paul's going first. I'm going to give you Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton this week predicted to score. You wanted to go first? He's predicted to score 17 fantasy points. Oh boy, or boy, oh boy.
Oh boy.
He's going less. Okay, Paul. I'm putting you down, Paul. All right then. Kyle Allen. I'm going to give this one to you, Mr. Graham. So Kyle Allen, 17 points.
I could be bang on the buck.
It's tight. I'm going to go boy oh boy by no more than 2 points, because that's pretty bang on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was looking at it thinking it could be around there. Depends really which defense turns up on the day. All right, then. You wanted to go first, Paul, so I'm giving this one to you. Zeke, 17 points.
I hope to
Boy,
God,
oh boy, or oh boy.
I hope to God he does get 17 points. I hope to God, because I've got him in one of my fantasies. So I'll, you know what? Screw it. I'm like I said, I am all over the place today. My emotions are high. I'm going to say boy oh boy, just for the hell of it.
Yeah, do it, man. All right, just so you're not doing all the Washington players, I'll give you Cooper, right, Gray?
Yeah.
16 fantasy points. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
So 16, you're looking for
100 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, and a touchdown.
Yeah. 160 yards and no touchdown.
I think judging by my prediction, I would have to say boy oh boy.
Okay.
Because I think we're going to go to the run pretty early, to be quite honest.
All right, then. So I love this that Paul has decided to go first. He's getting all the toughies. Antonio Gibson, is he gonna go? Oh boy, or boy oh boy. Bear in mind he's against our defensive line. He's got 9 fantasy points predicted.
Boy oh boy.
Alrighty.
Antonio Post starting, it's boy oh boy by a long shot. We've been running through the middle all day.
All right then. Graham, Scary Terry, which we spoke about, 18 fantasy points.
See, I'm sorry, but this only goes to back up my prediction. They think Terry McLaurin's going to have a huge day, and I've got to agree with them. I think boy oh boy.
Boy oh boy.
Yeah. Diggs has got to stick to him like glue. But like Paul said, you're not going to break your defense to look after Terry McLaurin. So, yeah, boy oh boy. Sorry.
All right then. Okay, that's cool. CD Lamb, for you, Paul, 14 fantasy points.
It could be bang on, it could be not. Oh, God, it's like 16 and a half a dozen. Oh boy, just I'd say maybe about the 12-13 mark.
So you can sort of level out if you want.
I'll level it out then. I'll level it out.
Yeah, you think it's going to be about 14 points? All right then. Dalton Schultz, Gray. He's booked to score 8 fantasy points.
That's actually quite good, actually, for Schultz.
Not bad. Bear in mind, it's tight ends in fantasy, and this is standard. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not tight end premium.
Yeah. Oh boy, but it's close.
It's close. Okay.
Oh boy, but it's close.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Dalton's kind of in and out when it comes to tight ends. The only thing I will say is I think Schultz might be quite free based on like their linebackers and how they're going to be using their safeties against our wide receivers. So I think Schultz might be a bit of an X factor here. All right then, Logan Thomas. Honestly, mate, I'll help you out on this one. Logan Thomas, their tight end, 7 fantasy points.
I don't know. I don't even know anything about this kid, so I'm just going to say, oh boy.
I would definitely say that, mate. He's not even worth looking on your radar. It's not going to even be close. Cowboys, defensive teams.
Oh, Jesus.
You wanted to go first, so I'm going to give it to you, Paul. Cowboys defense. They are booked to score, or predicted to score 7 fantasy points.
7?
Quick question, Mike. Has the NFL app ever predicted a minus? I mean, look at what our Dallas Cowboys is doing to Paul right now. I'm sorry, everybody in the live stream. Paul is stressed right now. He's struggling.
He's shrunk. He's just a head. He's got no arms or legs.
I can't even get back up.
He's literally like a defensive line. He's hiding
on the floor. I know that feeling, mate. Don't you worry.
I've been there before.
Yeah, we definitely might be there this Saturday too.
So
we've got a drink. Oh, by the way, we got drinkies booked Saturday.
Have we?
Yeah, we have.
Okay. What was it? 7 fantasy points?
Yeah.
7. Peekaboo. Gone off the rails on this one, man.
Well, I appreciate the love from NFL fantasy, but it's not happening.
Nope.
So, oh boy.
Oh boy.
All right then. And Graham, the Washington team of football, they are due to score 6 fantasy points on defense.
Boy, oh boy. I at least double figures.
Oh,
Sorry,
man.
at least double
you
figures.
Have no faith.
I don't. I simply do not. Once I find out who my offensive tackles are, I might. But right now, no.
I'm sorry.
Alrighty.
I mean,
are you saying just in general there's 6 points?
Yeah. They predicted to score 6 fantasy points.
Their defense predicted to score less than us in the state that we're in.
Yes.
Is NFL fantasy smoking the ganja?
They usually are, mate. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
Guys, that is this week's pre-game show. It's been a little bit all over the place, a little bit stressful, but we did have Taylor who kept us in line for the first half of the show. After that, it just all fell apart. Guys, just a quick shout out as well to our sponsor, Cowboys Experience. If you get to go to a game, which I doubt you will do this year, but you do... but you could do next year. Make sure you book it through Cowboys Experience. They have stadium tours, game day tickets, and tailgate parties you won't want to miss. And as we say every week, use the discount code UK Cowboys and send us your pictures while you're there. Or if you've been there, we always love to see how you guys got on and went on. And it's always a lot of fun. And I need to move myself back because this logo is perfectly placed. But that is, of course, us for this week from UK Cowboys TV, the pre-game show. I've been Mike. This has been Paul the Burger and Graham the King. I'm kind of giving it away. I'm sorry, mate.
So I'm the burger.
only right. And do you want to know why? Do you want to know why? Do you want to know why you're the burger? Because we were talking about Whataburger.
Oh.
All right. So now it doesn't seem so bad, does it?
Hell, I'll be the king. Suits me.
You are the king. You are the king.
Graham, what you need to do for next, see if you get your prediction right, you need to come into the show wearing a bloody crown just to say, I told you so.
Yeah. Although saying that, you would not want to have joined the conversation we had last week. Sorry, Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever it was. It was like Tuesday. All over the shop, mate. We had the weirdest conversation ever. It was Tuesday, wasn't it? That was some weird ass conversation.
What the hell
It was a sleep deprived conversation, and we just had this. I don't know. It started off talking about David Chappelle and finished with politics, and we don't know how we got there.
Then somehow we talked from politics to Whataburger, and that's what
it was
ended.
weird, man. It was a weird convo. So is this one. But anyway, guys, that is from all of us this week. Join us next week. We are going to try and get a special guest that we had booked on the show previously on next week. Brian's doing the post-game show as well. I don't know if he's got anything lined up. He might do. But join us then, and join us on game day, where we will be in the group chat. Apart from that, stay safe. Wear a mask, keep clean, all the good stuff, and we'll see you on the weekend, guys. See you all again.
Go Cowboys.
See you next time.